Every hero has a story. Every star athlete a beginning. For former Atlanta Brave Tim Hudson, it all started right here in the Valley, taking his first steps to greatness in a backyard in Salem. And what better person to ask about his rise to the big leagues than the man himself? How did it get started for you? I mean, when did baseball become a thing of interest for you?
Well, I mean, ever since I can remember, honestly, from when I was a young kid, I always loved playing baseball. I really don't know why. I mean, my dad wasn't a real big, huge baseball player. My brothers wasn't huge baseball players, but I think it was one thing that I found out that I was decent at, and I had some talent playing it. And then once I got into competitive baseball in Phoenix City at the Dixie youth levels, it was just something that I loved, and honestly, there was really nowhere else I wanted to be besides on the baseball field. When I wasn't on the baseball field playing Little League, I was in the backyard, pestering my dad to go out and play catch with me and hit me fly balls and that sort of thing.
Did you have a favorite team growing up? Were you a Braves fan?
I was a Braves fan. I think everybody in the South, was a Braves fan. It was America's team. Back with TBS, it was pretty much the only baseball you could watch around here for a while. And I was a fan of the Braves back when they wasn't very good in the 80s, and then all of a sudden in the early 90s, they made that quick turnaround, and obviously was a big fan then, along with everybody else, and I still am today.
At what point did you realize that you had, like, I can do something with this, where it was more than just I'm good enough to play high school ball? It's like I can go to college and do something with this.
Well, I'm guessing probably towards the end of my high school years. When I got into high school, I played my freshman year baseball at Smith Station, and played baseball there, and really that was one of the first times where I realized that I could probably play with some of the older kids. But I was able to do it, and then I realized, right after that, I transferred to Glenwood. Glenwood had a really great baseball program, and the coach at Glenwood at the time was my summer league coach. But those last 3 years at Glenwood was when I realized that, okay, I'm a real small, skinny kid from Salem, Alabama, and I'm not quite sure what this baseball thing is gonna do for me, but I feel like there's a chance that I can either get an education, some kind of an education, whether it be junior college or four-year school or something, and try to do something, use baseball to create some kind of opportunities. Just because, if it wasn't for baseball, I mean, who knows what would have happened. I mean, honestly, I probably would have joined the services and maybe the Air Force or something, and my life would have taken a totally different route. But it's funny, my kids now, they go to Lee Scott here in Auburn, so they're kind of rivals now. I'm rivals now with Glenwood, even though I'm an alumni there. When we first moved here to Auburn, he was like, are you gonna send your kids to Glenwood or Lee Scott? And I was just like, man, Lee Scott's like 2 miles from my house. So, but what, I'm really proud of what they've done over there, and it's fun to watch from afar, even though I'm not necessarily a part of it. It makes me feel good to see them have success.
You ought to get you a half and half jacket with like green and orange, and yeah, that ought to be good. Going to your college days, you talked about it. What made you decide on CVCC? What was that process like?
Well, that process was pretty simple for me. That was really the only scholarship offer I had out of high school. Like I said, I was a small right-handed. I was pretty average, a little above average from a talent standpoint, but I was very undersized. I was a small kid. Playing in a small private school, it's not going to wow a lot of schools for scholarship offers. So, I went to high school with B.R. Johnson's daughter. So, he was able to watch me play, and there was something there that he liked, and he took a liking to me, and obviously, I had that opportunity to play at Chattahoochee Valley, and I mean, it was a blessing for me just because, I had a chance to go to Chattahoochee Valley. I had a chance to go there and play right away. I don't know that would have happened anywhere else, just because I wouldn't know. Who knows if I'd had those opportunities. So BR gave me a chance to go there and to be successful, and that was really when I thought that, okay, I'm playing this game at the college level, and I'm having success, and I can see that no longer is it little high school kids and kids play. You're starting to get into some men.
How did the Auburn stuff come about? How did Auburn come out, and how did that, how did you go from there to?
Well, after my freshman year, I had a pretty good freshman year at CV, and then, from there I just started getting recruited by some bigger schools, which it kind of blew me away because, the year earlier, I got one scholarship offer from CV, and all of a sudden, I was getting recruited by Alabama and Auburn and Mississippi State, and it was almost, I almost thought people were playing jokes on me at first when I started getting these phone calls from schools, and so. I went on a recruiting trip to Auburn, and it was a great trip. Honestly, it was the first time I'd ever been to Auburn University. I'd never even been to Auburn. As close as I lived to Auburn, I'd never even been up there, and because at the time I was an Alabama fan.
Really?
Yeah, I grew up an Alabama fan. So it was one of those things, I was like, well, I'll go check Auburn out, Obviously, even though I was an Alabama fan, it wouldn't take much to twist my arm to convert for sure. But, I had a chance to go over there and visit the campus, and I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with the coaches. I think that day I ended up committing to Auburn that day. It was one of the best decisions I'd ever made was going to Auburn and change it. I finally saw the light. A lot of people don't see the light, the Alabama fans, but I realized that, leave the dark side and come to the light. War Eagle, baby.
Tim showing some love for his alma mater there. Despite being overlooked in his early years, he was able to make it to the big leagues. Most sports fans know that, but how he got there was quite interesting. Tune in to part 2 to hear from him about making it to the show.